All right, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Monday, 27th. Can you believe it? We're cranking along here. Episode 81. I'm Mike Jeffers, Chicago Jazz Magazine, ChicagoJazz.com, and you are watching Chicago Music Revealed. Hopefully everybody had a great weekend. It was a little hot out there, although if you follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, you would have seen that I enjoy working out in this kind of heat, so you saw some pictures of that, along with some exciting stuff that we did at the Epiphany Center for the Arts with our guest today, who I'm going to bring on in a second, Denise Thimes. But before we get to that, I also want to mention the Epiphany Center for the Arts, which I am also the Director of Programming and Entertainment. And as I promised last week, we are going to be making announcements toward the end of this week about our Sanctuary Music Series, which is going to be kicking off in September. Of course, all the information is at epiphanyShy.com. Get the information, sign up for our newsletter, exciting stuff coming, so stand by. All of it COVID safe, along with a live stream platform as well. So we are going to be announcing everything later this week. Now, I promised you that we were going to talk to our guest today, Denise Thimes, and she actually kicked off. She was the first one to perform in the sanctuary at the Epiphany Center for the Arts this past Thursday night as part of the Millennium Park at Home series, which they're going to be dropping this video that we did last week sometime at the beginning of September to coincide when the Chicago Jazz Festival would have been happening in Millennium Park, but obviously for obvious reasons is not. And Denise is a big part of that. So Denise, welcome to the show. I am so glad you are here. And it was great seeing you last week performing at the Epiphany Center, sounding wonderful as usual.
Thank you, Mike. It's always great seeing you and being in your presence.
Well, I appreciate that. And I mean, you were able to come out, and I love the fact that DK's Department of Cultural Affairs special events that I've had a long relationship with at Chicago Jazz Magazine is doing at least something because of the COVID situation. So they're putting out this Millennium Park at Home series, and you are a big part of that. So we did a great video shoot over there, 4 killer tunes with a killer band as well.
Yes.
And now most people don't have gigs, but I wanted to have you on the show because you actually have a gig coming up here at the Chicago Jazz Showcase, which get the marching band out because there's a live performance gig for jazz in Chicago, thank God, and you have it. So let's talk right off the bat about that. You're going to hit over at the Jazz Showcase, of course, 806 South Plymouth Avenue, jazzshowcase.com for all the information. This Thursday, July 30th, and you're running through Sunday, August 2nd. Now, we've got shows at 9 p.m., 7 p.m., and 9 p.m., Thursday through Saturday, and then 4 p.m., of course, that's the Joe Siegel Jazz Matinee, Save the Children Matinee at 4 p.m., and then 8 p.m. again over at the Showcase. So it's got to feel good to actually have a live gig on the calendar. You're probably like everybody else. This is your first one, I would imagine, since this whole thing went down.
It is definitely my first live gig. I've had a few, virtual, but this is my first one, yes, with where there's actually going to be an audience. It's also my jazz showcase debut.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's like I'm bringing my sugar and my water and I'm making some lemonade through these times.
That's right.
So
That's right.
yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
hats off to Wayne over there at the Jazz Showcase. This
Absolutely.
whole thing, he's slow opening. I know he's being super safe with his protocols for
Absolutely.
sanitation and everything.
Yeah.
So everybody going there is going to feel safe. But then, of course, right when everything is starting to reopen, they kick it back a little bit. So he's actually going to be doing it. He's not serving alcohol at the Jazz Showcase for the shows just because the city rolled it back. But hats off to him for opening up and having it happen. And you guys can grab a drink on the way before. You can grab a drink afterwards. But go support the Jazz Showcase, and of course, go check out Denise Thimes over there. Are you there with a trio or a quartet, or how's that?
I'm there with myself. Richard Johnson is on piano. Christian Dillingsworth is on bass. Sam Jewell is on drums, and Sherelle Cassidy is on saxophone.
Oh, she's dynamite. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I didn't know she and Richard were husband and wife. I liked her just who she was, and I said to Richard, "Do you know this Sherelle Cassidy?" He's like, "Uh huh." And I was like, I think I want her for the set, and he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure I can tell her because that's my wife." I'm like, "What? Get out of here!" So, but yeah, I'm really hoping and that Chicago will, just make this announcement as because things are constantly changing with COVID and Chicago's mayor and the governor is doing such a wonderful job and looking out for Chicagoans. And who knows? Maybe they will change their minds on the alcohol thing, and I really hope that they do. But like you said, just kind of get your drink on, before you get there, and come out and enjoy some wonderful music. As you said, Mike, it's going to be a wonderful band, and I just, really into, really sing because I'm excited about this, even though under the circumstances, but I'm really excited about this with it being my debut at the showcase.
Well, I never realized that, but I mean, I know that your unofficial official home has been Winters Jazz Club, which we all love Winters and Scott over there at Winters, and I know he's not open yet. He hasn't attempted to reopen
Hmm.
during this
Hmm.
COVID thing, but
Hmm.
I didn't realize this was your first time at the Jazz Showcase. Now you've
Yeah.
played all over the country, all over the world
Yes.
actually, but you've never played the Jazz Showcase. That's
I've
amazing
never
to me.
played the jazz showcase, 4 hours away from me. So,
Man, oh man, it took a
so I,
pandemic to get you into the Jazz Showcase. All
well,
right.
Wayne doesn't know this. I didn't tell him this story, but many years ago, I met, was the first time I met Houston Person
Mhm.
on the jazz cruise. And so, he was telling me about I think the Blue Room in Kansas City, which I've had a chance to play. And he told me about the jazz showcase. He said, talk to Joe. And he said, now Joe, you know, he doesn't really care for singers,
Mhm.
but just talk to him. And everybody I took to, oh no, 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 don't no, he's not gonna hire you, he's not gonna hire, don't even think about it. And so I called him and I said, hi, this is Denise Thimes, I'm a jazz vocalist. And Houston Person told me to call you to tell you to hire me.
You better get it
And
all
he
out in the
said,
first sentence, right?
wait a minute, he said, Houston didn't tell you that because Houston knows I don't hire singers. And I said, Mr. Siegel, you have to hire me. I said, because I'm very, very good. And so he said, yeah, that's what they all say. And I said, no, but I'm really good. And you have to hire me. So I can't wait to tell that story to other folks, who may not have a chance to listen to this. But what a thrill it is to be finally in the showcase. And as a matter of fact, I got to call Houston and let them know. So,
There you go.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But you know
So.
what? Your impression of Joe Siegel is spot on too, by the way, because I know that's exactly what he said. So that's
Oh, that's
perfect.
exactly what he said. He said, Houston didn't tell you to call me because I don't hire singers.
Well,
Yeah.
that's outstanding. So you're going to be at the showcase this Thursday. I'm going to reiterate it again, Thursday through Sunday, July 30th through August 2nd. And
Hmm.
get on over there. Of course, there's parking in the back. I always like to tell everybody when they're going to the Jazz Showcase, there's a lot of reasons. Everybody makes up excuses. Oh, it's downtown. Oh, it's here. Oh, it's there. Well, first of all, it's super simple to get to. Second of all, there's not a lot of traffic these days. So it's very easy to get around in Chicago. And there's parking right behind the Jazz Showcase for like $5 or $7. So you can't beat that. And of course, going in, what is this? Their 48th year in business, Jazz Showcase. So get out there and
Yes.
celebrate and showcase everything. No, I'm sorry, it's longer than that. It's like 60 years in business. It's since
I thought
1948.
it was 75.
Yeah, well, it's getting close. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
1948 is when Joe started doing it. So
Okay.
it's one of the oldest jazz clubs in the
Yeah.
entire world. So I mean, this is
Yeah.
going to be exciting. So we got it. I've heard you perform before. Obviously, I had you on the old show when we did it over at Johnny O's, the Talking Jazz show and everything. And I know that every time you hit the stage, you bring it. Now, the thing that I love about it, and just reiterated the whole situation last Thursday when you did 4 tunes for the Department of Cultural Affairs special events video
Hmm.
shoot,
Hmm.
is that you have a wide range of repertoire. I mean,
Oh, wow.
you delve into some things. I mean, the standards up and down, but then I heard a couple of tunes that I know those tunes, but it's not one of those standard repertoire tunes that a jazz singer would normally just pull out, right? I mean, I've heard you
Mhm.
sing a lot of
Mhm.
different things. So let's talk a little bit about your repertoire and about your background and about your influences, but particularly about picking tunes as a vocalist and how you go about selecting them. Because, you know, if you're doing a theme show, I get that Ella Fitzgerald,
Mhm.
whatever it is. But I mean, when you're
Mhm.
doing
Mhm.
your show and what can people expect to hear at the
Mhm.
Jazz Showcase, how do you go through picking out of all these tunes and putting a program together?
Well, Mike, I really, first of all, take in consideration of um, the clientele. Uh, Most of the people that come to the jazz showcase are definitely true jazz
Mm-hmm.
lovers. And so they want to hear some of the old, they want to hear a little of the new, and then they want to hear who the singer is, you know.
Yeah.
And so I kind of take all those things into consideration. Sometimes, I know that, sometimes my audience, if when I get there and I look over my audience, and if I see I have an older crowd, then I play those kind of things. I sing those kind of things that I know, really appeal to them. And during COVID and people coming out, they're not playing. If they're coming out, they want to hear the
Mm-hmm.
real stuff. And sometimes it's just nice to do the nearness of you and in a sentimental mood, just to get everybody feeling good again,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
And so it's a combination of sometimes I actually will write out my set, the musicians have it, and I tell you if I manage to do two songs on there that was on the set list is a good thing because I go in a whole different direction when I see where my audience is going and how they're taking in the music and what really got to them and that sort of thing. And so and then my emotions, my feelings kind of play a part in what I feel like singing tonight,
Mm-hmm.
and what I want to do. So there's always a song that I want to do when I get up there, just like Thursday I wanted to do I'm in the mood for love, and so I was ready to sing that song, so it was fun, so yeah, that was my song to me.
Well, and I love the fact because as a drummer, I've played behind a lot of vocalists, and there's a lot of
Mhm.
incredible vocalists. But the thing that always sparks my interest, first of all, as a drummer, I love melodies, you know,
Mhm.
and I love chord structures that go right along with melodies. And
Mhm.
in my head, I've learned hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of melodies, so I can play them down on the drums and all that. As I know, as
Mhm.
a vocalist, you know even more. But that's the kind of stuff that I love. And then also being able to take a standard, I'm in the mood for love, and maybe putting a little twist on it, right? I mean, I think you played
Mhm.
that just kind of straight ahead, medium tempo on Thursday, if I'm
Mhm.
remembering correctly. But you also played another tune that was a standard, but you did it sort of with a Latin feel that most people don't think about that way, which
Yeah.
puts a whole other different dimension to that tune and almost brings it to life and makes it your own. Do you consciously sit at home before you're putting things together and doing a set list and think about the different grooves and how you want to do these things and map them out a little bit so that when you get there you can say, let's do it this way, that way, this way?
Mhm. Well, yeah, I do, but it's also like I was in Thailand a few years back, and I was working with a group of wonderful musicians who were Russian, and we were, um, I was doing my set, and just about everything I was swinging. I was swinging really
Yeah.
hard, and they said, "Oh, let's slow it down,"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Oh, I don't want to slow it down," because I could tell the people were really enjoying it. It was a very jubilant crowd, very, and they were enjoying music. And so no ballads at this point.
Right. Right.
And so um, I looked at uh, the song that I did, but not for me. And usually I do, they're writing songs of love, but not for me. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's where I was going to do it. And so I said, I tell you what, let's just give it a, bossa feel, where it still blends in with the talking and the drinking
Mm-hmm.
and people can hear themselves and and it's wonderful, and that's how that came about. And so, yeah, it was the same kind of thing. It's like, okay, we're swinging, we did a ballad. Okay, let's do a basso, and I love doing that song, with the basso feel, because you don't hear it a lot like that,
And it lays so well. There's so many tunes that I think that somebody, whether maybe Ella sang it or Carmen McRae sang it or Frank Sinatra sang it a certain way, and then everybody just always does it that way. But when you
hmm
do something like "But Not for Me" as a bossa, to me, it lays so well in there.
it
It's
does.
just
It
like,
really does lay
man,
in
oh man,
pocket.
it's
Yeah.
actually, I think it's better than swinging it, to be honest with you, because it's
Yeah.
so in the pocket. It's like ridiculous,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also the way the lyrics and the way the melody flows through that. A lot of
hmm
those tunes, when you do change grooves and you do put a little bit of a twist or slow it down or speed it up as a vocalist, it adds another dimension to the lyric, I think,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And is that how
Yes.
you think of that too?
Absolutely. That little part when I said, "My mama told me he's not," that all of
Mm-hmm.
that, it's like, oh, you know what? Okay, they're writing songs of love, but not for me, you
I
know.
know.
And and so it's like, every girl has been in love with the guy that she couldn't have,
Mm-hmm.
and so of course you bring all of that good stuff to it, but when you sing it, like you said, faster, they're writing songs of love, but not for me, it's just kind of like, oh, okay,
Right. Yeah. Well, it
but
glosses over because, to your point, I mean,
right.
I never really thought about it until right now when you said it that way. I'm like, yeah, that is the lyric. You're right.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed.
Right. Yeah, well, we believe me that, that I had the same light bulb, so,
Well, so let's talk a little bit about your influences and your career, because I know, you look at your website and you look at all of the different places you've performed. I mean, you've played at
Mhm,
Dizzy's in New York. You mentioned
mhm,
Thailand. You've been all over Europe before. And then
mhm.
there's also that story about Clark Terry at the beginning. I mean, was that one of the first experiences you had that really solidified the fact that you're going to be a professional vocalist? Or, I mean, how did that connection with Clark Terry come about?
Again, I met Clark and his beautiful wife, Gwen, on the jazz
Yeah.
cruise, and, um, and Clark, Gwen, came to me and she said, uh, "Hi, Denise. I'm Gwen Terry. Clark wants to talk to you." And I'm going like, "What? Clark Terry wants to talk to me?" And they brought me, she brought me over to him, and because he found out I was from St. Louis, and Clark
Mm-hmm.
has ties in St. Louis, and he said, "How come I haven't heard of you?" And I said, "I don't know, Mr. Terry." I said, "But I thank God you've heard of me now." And the conversation kind of, went, and so he said, "I want to do some work with you," and I said, "Okay, I would love that." And he took me on tour with him to Sweden,
Yeah.
and then we culminated. Um, at the Blue Note in New York, and he was sharing the bill with James Moody, and so I met Mr. Terry, um, you know, uh, in the winter of his career,
Mm-hmm.
and so I didn't get a chance, to tour anymore because his health kind of changed, and everything. But boy, was I glad to have met him and to have experienced what I did with him. And his wife is just a jewel, and and I still keep in touch with her every now and then, and I just really treasure um, that time with him. It was just a jazz blessing, to
Mm-hmm.
have been able to experience him, even though it was short lived. But I just took in every moment of it.
Well, I'm always interested when I'm talking to somebody who's been on tour with, I mean, a legend, right? I mean, there he is,
Mhm.
right? But
Mhm.
had an extended period of time with them, whether you're touring, playing gigs, things like that, and hanging
Mhm.
out after the gigs and hanging
Mhm.
out as you're traveling. Talk a little bit about this, because I think it's interesting for younger musicians who are listening to this, also seasoned veterans, and then also, casual music
Mhm.
fans.
Mhm.
Clark traces all the way back. I mean, for the 30s, I mean, he was there, right? He was at the
Mhm.
beginning of everything. He knew everybody,
Yes.
and he
Yes.
played with everybody, and he was respected by everybody, and everybody. I mean, it was just he was a legend. So when you're sitting there and you're hanging out, what did you or even performing. I mean, what were some of the takeaways that really helped you with your career? Was it stage presence? Because Clark could sing. Clark could do his scatting thing.
Mhm.
Which I
Mhm.
forget what was the name of it. Mumbles. He'd do
Yes.
mumbles, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And trumpet master, obviously, but also an educator. He was always giving back. He was always trying to work with school groups as he could. I remember that
Yes.
and everything else.
Mhm.
But his stage presence, I remember seeing him at the showcase a million times. I saw him with Red Halloway. I still remember this. Red Halloway, Louis Bellson, and Clark, and
Mhm.
Larry Novak was playing piano, I think. And it was like this guy he knew what to do and how to entertain as a jazz musician,
Yes.
which was and is rare because a lot of guys just play tunes and that's it. I mean, he knew how to take the audience and pull them into the set and really work them through the set and entertain them.
Absolutely.
So, what did you learn from him? I mean, all of that must have just rubbed off on you just with the short time you were with him.
Well, I don't want to seem, haughty or anything, but I basically had that when Clark met me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the thing that attracted me to him because he said, "You're great. You're all of it. You're Ella. You're Sarah. You're Dinah. You're this." That's why, in the quote that I have on my website, he says, "You're all of them."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Wow." I was like, "Thank you, Mr. Terry." And, and the thing is that I think, Mr. If I had anything to walk away with, it was just to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give up. He would tell me, "Don't you give up because you got it."
Yeah.
He says, "You're one of them." He said, "Don't you give up." And I said, "I don't plan on it, Mr. Terry." And that was, some of the stuff. And he and his wife just really were just super committed, to my success, and really wanted to help me to launch my career. But as it turned out, it just things just kind of went in a different direction when his health
Yeah.
went in a different direction, and then Gwen's attention basically had to be on Clark, instead of trying to launch a career at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so the timing was interesting, but the experience can never be replaced you
Well,
know
I think it's interesting too because I mean, when you're working with somebody like that, and then you've worked with so many other people, when you get on the stage, as opposed to some other vocalists that are incredible vocalists, but they don't have the stage presence. They don't have that way to suck the audience in. They don't have that way to engage an audience, which is really tough. I mean, you make it look easy. There's other vocalists that make it look easy, but there's a lot of vocalists that don't have a concept about how to really
Mhm.
truly do it. And that's really so important because it's one thing to sing really well, but it's another thing to actually entertain, I think,
Mhm.
and sell the tune and make the audience
Mhm.
believe that you believe in what you're singing and why you're singing it and doing all of that. So is that just
Mhm.
I know your father was a famous jazz musician DJ, right? Wasn't he? Did he had a radio show
Uh,
and everything? Was it?
yeah, disc jockey. He
Yeah.
wasn't a musician. Yeah.
So I mean, you must have
Well,
been around all of that
I
from
was
growing up. So that
surrounded by
must have
music
just
all my life.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that must have
Yeah.
just been a natural flow. Did you just learn from osmosis from watching as a young person all the way through?
I think my church background gave me that.
Mm-hmm.
As a little girl, I was just a ham, you know. And if you gave me the speaking parts for Easter, I was exaggerated with it. And God said, "Let there be light." And I mean, I was always the one that, was over the top,
You were the one
So
selling the Easter pageant. You were on it,
right.
right?
So and I always memorized my parts where the other kids still have to read from the paper.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like an exceptional, kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always been talkative. I've always been, inquisitive, and I've, just have always been a people person, and just love, communicating and talking, and that sort of thing. And so I started expressing myself even as a young age. I've always been expressive,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think just now, I get a chance to get a few coins for it, so whereas before it was on my report card, talkative, so
Yeah.
you know but now, I guess it's paying off a little bit,
There you
so
go. Well, see, I had the same problem too. Everybody, all the teachers,
uh-huh,
all through the
uh-huh.
grammar school and stuff would be like, he's constantly talking to people and he won't shut up, and I have to kick him out of the class all the time. And now I have a radio show and a video show. So there you have it.
That's
Done.
right. Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about, before I let you go, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the foundation that you have, because I know we talked all about it the last time you were on the show. And
Hmm.
I love the
Hmm.
fact that you do this. You do a huge gala every year, which obviously for
Yes.
obvious reasons this year it's probably up in the air as far as how you're going to do that. But I know
Yeah.
we talked a little bit on Thursday. You're trying to get that organized so that can happen.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit
Hmm.
about the Mildred Dimes Foundation.
The foundation is named after my mother, um, whom I lost to pancreatic cancer in 1997. I was still in Singapore performing at Harry's bar, and I had 3 weeks before it was time for me to come home, which felt like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had never heard of pancreatic cancer. When I got back to the States, I started, asking people, "Have you heard of pancreatic cancer?" No, I never heard of that. And I mean, and even at the time, in Missouri, I can speak for Missouri, it was even still baffling to the doctors.
Wow.
And so it was uh, definitely a death sentence, cancer. And my mother was given 6 months to live, but she lived for 11. And so today, there are individuals who are actually living with pancreatic cancer. And as I mentioned to you before, Mike, uh, if we hadn't lost, unfortunately, celebrities during the early period, like Michael Landon and Pavarotti, if we had not lost uh, those celebrities to pancreatic cancer, we still would be even further behind than
Yeah.
what we are now in terms of the awareness of pancreatic cancer. And so each year, even though November is Pancreatic Cancer Month, but we do it in October because the weather is always so bad in November.
Mm-hmm.
And so every year in October, we do a concert that benefits the foundation. We have local doctors from the Siteman Cancer Center here. It's the second largest cancer center in the country, and we have it right here in Missouri. And so we have various doctors from that institution to come and speak with our audience and that sort of thing. And we have a wonderful, wonderful concert. We've even had some Chicagoans on this concert. We've had D. Alexander on this concert. We've had, her guy, Miguel de la Serna,
Mm-hmm.
on it. Samuel Jewell has come in for these concerts. And so we've had a few Chicagoans to come in and perform, for
Yeah.
this. And Clark Terry himself has performed for the foundation. And so we hope to continue to create awareness, which proceeds go to pancreatic cancer research, and we, we're hoping to do something virtual or figure out something outdoors to do for this year's um, fundraiser.
Yeah.
But if anybody listening wants to give foundation, they can go to www.themildredtimesfoundation.org. And if they have any questions or if there's any problems, just reach out for Denise Times, and I can, you know, be happy to guide them towards how they can make their contribution.
Well, I mean, when you and I talked about it on the last show, I mean, I'm just blown away about how you've grown this foundation. We talked about that, and we talked about the
Mhm.
growth of the gala and all that, and the
Mhm.
concert and everything, and how, I mean, obviously it's very important. And we're talking about this now, and the great John Lewis just passed away from
Yes.
pancreatic cancer. I mean,
Pancreatic cancer. Yeah.
and Alex Trebek has pancreatic cancer, and he's
Yes.
living with it right now. So
Right.
it's just it's astonishing to me that back in 1997, when your mother had
Mhm.
it, they didn't know what it was. I mean,
Nope.
that's the shocking thing, that even in this day and age, and I mean 1997 is still in this day and age to me,
Mhm. Mhm. Right.
they didn't know what it was, which is amazing to me. But it seems like they've made a lot of strides, and it seems like they're starting to figure things out. And with the foundation, especially during COVID and all that, I know there's a lot of nonprofits, a lot of foundations that do incredible work for a lot of different causes. And yes, the entertainment business is shut down, the bars and restaurants are shut down, but this really hurts a lot of the foundations as well, because they
Mhm.
can't do their fundraising that they
No.
need to push their initiatives forward. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, we actually have adopted a single mother of two beautiful girls who started in college in the fall. She's
mhm.
been diagnosed with stage 2 pancreatic cancer.
Ugh.
We have adopted this family, and we have helped to pay her medical bills and some of her more urgent needs that she and her family require. And so we're so happy to be able to do that with the help of our patient charitable fund. And that's something that we didn't have the last time I spoke to you. And so our patient charitable fund helps individuals more tangibly,
Mhm.
in terms of their needs. Whereas with larger institutions, you have to kind of jump through hoops, and of course you still have to fill out paperwork with us, and everything has to, be, validated. But we do pride ourselves in being able to help individuals in a more of immediate way.
Well,
So
that's the worst part about it, that I think a lot of people overlook, that you donate money to the research side, but if you have a disease, the last
yeah,
thing you need to worry about is paying bills
yes,
while trying to battle something that could kill you. I mean,
absolutely.
it's
And being able to put gas in your car to
yeah,
get to treatment. Yeah.
yeah, it's
So,
the simple
yeah.
things. Well, all right. So the Mildred Times Foundation.org. And of course,
Mhm.
all the information on Denise is at denisetimes.com. And I have that up on the screen
Yes.
right now. And you're going to keep us posted on the gala so we can get the word out as you decide and
Yeah.
figure that out about that.
Yeah.
But hey,
Yeah.
I am excited. You are playing at the Jazz Showcase this weekend. So that
Thank
is
you. Me too.
one thing that Wayne is getting the ball rolling again. We've got to
Yes,
keep
he
live
is.
music happening here in Chicago and everywhere, so that it
Yeah.
doesn't so we don't lose 2020 completely. And that's how I keep talking about it on this show and everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I am glad you're making it happen. And
Thank you, Mike.
it was awesome seeing you last Thursday. So everybody stay tuned
Yes.
for that video. When that video drops, everybody's going to know what we're talking about now, but you'll have to wait till September. So there's the teaser.
Right.
So everybody head over to jazzshowcase.com, get all the information on the show. She's there Thursday through Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, shows at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. And then Sunday, 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. Jazzshowcase.com, denisetimes.com. And Denise, always a pleasure. Can you believe it? I hadn't
Thank
talked
you,
to you
Mike.
in like 9 months, and I've talked to you
Isn't
twice
that
in the past
crazy?
5 days.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much.
Oh,
And I can't wait for Epiphany.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
All of us can't wait
Yeah.
to unveil Epiphany to everyone. You got the sneak peek, and I think you'll agree people are going to be very excited when they get to walk
Well,
around
I
in
plan
there.
on being there in September, so
Outstanding, outstanding.
yeah.
Well, I know the owner David Chase is looking forward to having you over there too. So I've already heard
Yeah.
about it twice today.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
All right, Denise, take care and have a
All
great
right,
gig
thanks,
this
Mike.
weekend. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Denise Times, she came over. We're talking about this video shoot that we did, and oh man, she killed it, and it was a thrill having her at Epiphany, kicking off the Sanctuary. It was the first live music we've been host up there. Sounds great up there, by the way. So I can't wait till everyone can come and check it out. We are going to be announcing things later this week. And, it's coming fast. It's already July 27th. September 1 is right around the corner. So stay tuned for everything. As I always say, everybody stay safe. Everybody stay healthy. Everybody stay away from each other. Tomorrow we got another great show right here at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Of course, we're going to be announcing that right after this show. So stay tuned for that. And if you like this, please like it. Please share it. Get a notification so when we go live, you get hit up so you can join the conversation. As I always say, if you like what you're hearing, tell the family, tell your neighbors, call the grandkids. Chicago Music Revealed right here. I will see you on the next broadcast.